Let's go ahead and smash that like button, guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to go on to this story here about the IDF soldier. So get this, folks. So you know that George Santos was removed from Congress. We talked about that. Well, obviously, with George Santos gone, that means that his seat is vacant and George needs a replacement. Guess who they're trying to replace George with? A former IDF soldier who has dual citizenship. I kid you not. They're trying to replace one puppet with another puppet. Now, Nick, my comrade from RBN, had a lot to say about this. He calls it like it is, says the GOP candidate to replace George Santos is a former IDF soldier who is open about her number one priority being Israel. Let's get into this. I can't make this up, guys.
The GOP candidate to replace George Santos in the special election is a dual Israeli citizen who's very open about the fact that their number one concern is to represent the interests of Israel. Meet Mazi Pilip, a former IDF soldier who is running in a New York election to represent a foreign state. Wait a second, isn't this the same thing that liberals complained that Russia was doing when they was interfering in our elections?
And there's something else here too. You can probably tell by her picture. You're like, hey, she looks a little bit different. She's Ethiopian. What did Israel do to the Ethiopian Jews? We'll tell you that in a second. But she's advocating for the state of Israel instead of advocating for the Ethiopian women that were sterilized by the state of Israel.
Isn't this the same thing you guys are accusing China of doing right now? Imagine the reaction of the establishment if we had a Chinese citizen running in an election with the stated goal of representing the interests of China. So as neocons was accusing Russia of interfering in our elections, you have Israel that already completely took it over. Don't worry, surely the voters of New York will have an option if they do not want a representative that have the interests of another hostile foreign power in mind. And her opponent is another unhinged Zionist as well. God damn it. There's Tom Suozzi, whose number one priority as well is also to represent the state of Israel. Tom Suozzi is another pro-Israel goon. In a recent speech, he said that he would never condition aid to Israel. Yep. So let me get this straight. We have two candidates running in New York where the number one focus of the election has nothing to do with New York. Do people seriously not see the problem with this?
Do people not seriously see the problem with it? Shouldn't your number one priority be the United States? If your number one priority is a foreign country, shouldn't that be suspect? And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not too cool and too keen with people who got dual citizenship being a part of Congress. Let's just keep it real. Because at the end of the day, if things pop off between the United States and the country that you have dual citizenship with, how do I know that you are going to be loyal to the U.S. instead of your other country? That's why I never agreed with that. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Yes, I'm American. I am Senator Salvati, but I have dual citizenship in another country. The fuck? It doesn't make any sense. That's just like if I had citizenship in Germany and I was in Congress and something happened, something popped off between the US and Germany. How do you guys know that I'm going to be loyal to you? How do you not know I'm not going to be loyal to Germany? They got health care. You don't know. You don't know. She was interviewed. Let's bring it up. This is a hot mess.
Former IDF soldier Mazi Phillip is the Republican nominee. She's running against former Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi, who previously represented the district prior to Santos. Now, the race is expected to be competitive as President Biden won the district in 2020 by 8 percentage points. The special election is set to take place on February 13th. Mazi joins us now, and we're happy to have you here on National Report. Thank you so much for joining us. What made you decide to run?
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for having me. I decided to join this race because I believe in the American dream. I came to this country as an immigrant. I was able to build my life. The same with my husband. Came from Ukraine. He went to school here. He became a doctor.
Child. Husband from Ukraine. I'll let you guys figure it out, okay? We have a war in Ukraine. We got a war in Israel.
That's a beautiful country. I came in about 17 years ago. It's not the same country right now. There's a lot of extreme policies out there that President Biden, Tom Suozzi, and the squad keep pushing on American people. And that's a big concern I have. And Washington's not doing great. And Washington needs people like me to be the voice, the new voice, fresh voice, not a typical politician, a real person, a person that care about the future of my children, my grandchildren, and the only one who can deliver the truth and willing to fight. Just me, no Suozzi. Suozzi had the opportunity. He created the problem to start with. Now he want to go back to Congress to fix it. It doesn't make sense. And my district, the 3rd congressional district, not willing to send him. Yeah. The only option is just me.
And I think maybe those voters are looking for truth and honesty, considering that their prior representative was expelled.
And you guys think you're going to get truth and honesty from her? She was an IDF soldier. Isn't this a foreign policy interest for us to have someone who was a soldier of another country in Congress? Now let's pretend she was not an IDF soldier. Let's pretend she was a soldier in Iran, or she was a soldier in Iraq, or she was a soldier in Afghanistan, and she decided to run for Congress and she had dual citizenship. Do you think they would treat her this way if she came onto this talk show? Do you think they would be cheering her on? Do you think she would get the same type of applause? No, she would be called a foreign agent. But when the country's Israel, they're not a foreign agent. We're just supposed to trust and believe her. We need to start asking this question, and you ask this question of your representatives as well. You ask them, are you running for office for the United States to serve the United States people and your district, or are you running to serve Israel? Because if you are running to serve another country, you should not be in this race.
From Congress for saying misleading statements, and I'm saying that lightly. Politico has taken a closer look at your voting history. Obviously, you got the GOP nomination, so we should point that out here. But they have apparently uncovered public records showing you have enrolled as a Democrat since 2012. As we know, you currently hold the office as a Republican, ran on the GOP ticket for the Nassau County legislature in 2021 and 2023.
So you guys see this, right? You see this playbook, right? Mazi Phillip has been enrolled as a Democrat since 2012. So this is just an opportunity for Mazi. Mazi over here like, you know what? This could be an opportunity for me if I come out as like pro like Israel, plus I was an IDF soldier, and I'll just do it as a Republican since George Santos was a Republican, and it'll be easier for me to win that seat. But they trust her, right?
Can you confirm that? And for folks who might be wondering, how did someone who voted for Democrat now get the GOP nomination? Do you see that as a positive?
A very simple. First of all, it's never been a secret. Really, they're trying to make it a secret. Why? You think people are stupid? They are not going to know. I mean, the chairman of the Republican Party doesn't know that I'm registered as a Democrat. They knew about this. They didn't care. Okay, they wanted a real person, a person who willing to fight for the right things, and they chose me to run about 3 years ago. Yes, I was registered as a Democrat. I was a Democrat. Guess what? The Democratic Party left me and many others. The Republican Party is the one that shares my values. The Republican Party is all about protecting the resident, okay, from border.
This woman is a fraud. Let me explain something here, right? So she's like, the Democratic Party left me and da-da-da, but she's still registered as a Democrat. You can change your registration like that. Like, that's one of the easier things to do. She's still registered as a Democrat. She's a plant.
Security that President Biden and Trump's was responsible for all migrants coming in without nobody really checking them. And we're talking about national security. We don't know if the terrorists making on their ways here, the amount of drugs coming from the borders and bringing migrants, those people coming for better future. They're looking for the American dream. And by bringing them and let them sleep in tent, that's unacceptable, irresponsible. I immigrated twice in my life. If the country willing to help, you have to have a plan. You cannot bring people here and destroy them in the street. This is exactly what they're doing. They are not helping them, and they are not helping the American people.
But you're still registered as a Democrat. She has all these things to say about the Democratic Party and criticize them about, but she's still registered as a Democrat. Don't look at me. I'm a registered independent. Like, you couldn't break. You running as a Republican, but you feel the Democratic Party did you so wrong, Mazi. You running as a Republican, but you couldn't change your registration to Republican?
Forget about the drugs, the amount of drugs coming in, really risking my children, our children. Somebody has to say no to that, okay? And I'm the only one willing to do that. And there's a lot of things. Let's talk about defunding the police. All these extreme policies out there trying to show like they care about the people. They don't care about the people. Those politicians cares about their future. How they're going to really elect the next 2 terms. The only way, this is the only reason why they're doing this. They don't care about the people.
Right.
Not to
The Democrats, first of all, NYP, the police in New York have not been defunded. The police in New York have been given more money. She was already given talking points. I feel like, remember, she was asked to run by the Republican Party. They gave her the talking points and said, these are the ones to go with, because this is what you do. Just go with these talking points. You're talking about New York, but you guys were given more money. Eric Adams gave the NYPD more money. He cut budgets in other places. So what are you talking about? Eric Adams didn't go around telling people to defund the police. He's actually against that. And he's the Democrat. So in her case, in reference to New York, that actually does not apply. That's how I know this is a script. Let me let her finish and I'll show you something else.
the minority, no to the immigrant. They just want to secure their political future. That is the truth.
So this woman, I'm going to tell you she's a plant, right? So let me show you something, people. Let me show you a little something. It's really just like a Keith Sweat moment. Something just ain't right. Now, she is from Israel. She served with the IDF. She is an Ethiopian Jew. Look at this. Now, she's an Ethiopian Jew. But honey, she is going to tell you that her first priority is going to be the state of Israel. How come she won't mention this? You see, I talked about this story before. Ethiopian women in Israel given contraceptive without consent. Israel's health ministry is investigating claims that the Ethiopian immigrants have unwittingly had Depo-Provera jabs for years. Thousands of Ethiopian women are said to be receiving shots of Depo every 3 months in Israeli clinics. The contraceptive stops administration menstruation, and has been linked to fertility problems and osteoporosis. The phenomenon was uncovered when social workers noticed the birth rate among Ethiopian immigrants halving in a decade. An Israeli documentary investigating the scandal was aired in December and prompted a popular outcry. It revealed that women were started on a course of contraceptive while still in transit camps in Ethiopia, some without being told they were given birth control, and many had no ideas of the side effects. Long story short, this was the state of Israel trying to sterilize the Ethiopian women, who are Jewish, by the way. See, this is why when they say it's a religious thing, this is how you can push back on that. Who are Jewish, by the way, trying to prevent them from continuing on the generation. I mean, this article is not new. In fact, it wasn't just The Guardian that reported this, but this article was written February 28th, 2013. Now, she's Ethiopian, right? She's from Israel, right? She not going to stand up for her own people? She's a fraud. She's a fraud.